Hello, everyone. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to a star in the management arena. We have Ayush Gupta, a student from IIM Ahmedabad, unarguably the best management institute in the country. And we will be talking to him, listen to him, be inspired by his story. And I hope next year some of you will be there and I'll be talking to you. Good evening, Ayush. Welcome to Gradeup, and thank you very much for taking precious time off from your rigorous schedule and agreeing to talk to our students about how to take CAT and the journey to CAT.
It's always a pleasure, Savitri. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Our viewers, Ayush, let me just tell you, they are students who have got calls from IIM, so they're going to hang on to every word you say,
Okay.
every little, whatever advice you can give them to help them get rid of their nervousness and prepare. And I also have a lot of CAT 2021 students who want to hear from you about how you prepare, did you have a strategy and stuff like that. So we will be talking about your journey through the entire process, CAT and post CAT. But before we do that, you are in IIM Ahmedabad, hum sab to bahar hai, and we want to know what is it like there. So let's start with the first things first.
Sure.
I was looking at your profile and there were some nice words you used there. You said your strengths are in numbers and narratives. What do you mean by that?
So it is as it sounds, starting with the numbers. When you are a management graduate, so I had my undergraduation in management itself. So
Okay.
it's practically the fifth year I'm studying management. After so many years, you're expected to be good with numbers, but not just numbers. You have to crunch them, you have to be good with them, but at the same time, you have to tell a story. You have to be a great storyteller so that the other person understands what you're saying and they're convinced by what you're saying. So it's like they say, in whatever profession you are into selling.
Okay, so you did your bachelor's also in management where you did numbers and then you put the numbers together to tell a story. And is it what you're doing now too?
So to a large extent, yes, I
Mhm.
pursued my bachelor's in management studies with the specialization in finance. So I was pretty comfortable with numbers. But then I felt, okay, I have the academic backing. I know how to go around things in an academic sense. True corporate exposure would be there only when I am applying those skills. And an MBA was a great way to do it. So it was a straight road to IMA.
Oh, fantastic. And you are into strategy consulting and finance. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. So one thing to note is that I am a fresher. I don't have any prior work experience, but I
Oh, that
have.
that will make a lot of people very happy, believe me. Okay, so you're a fresher, so it's not like I'm the butt takes only people with work ex. All
Not
right.
at all. As a matter of fact, my batch is one of the most diverse people I've ever met in any
Mhm.
setting.
Hmm.
So that's not to be worried about. What I was sharing is that I don't have any prior work experience, but I have tried my hands at different things. So
Okay.
I was an intern with the Ministry of Finance, that is with the government of India.
Okay.
And then I also interned with Deloitte in financial advisory. In my MBA, I am more inclined towards consulting. So I interned with strategy consulting, firm in strategy consulting. So that's what my experience has been like. And these little stints have provided me with some insights into the sector and guided me to where I am today.
Isn't that the purpose of an internship? To figure out, do I really want to do this? And you figured out that yes, I am good at this and this is what I want to do. Is it?
Yes,
Mhm. All
exactly.
right. Uh, are you into any clubs? Is it important to be part of a club when you're part of any IM? They said that along with your acads, you have to be a member of a club. One, are you a member of any?
So to help you around it, I am a member of five.
Oh
So
my God. Okay. Where do you find the time? Where do you find the time?
yeah, so that's the thing about any typical MBA setup in India. In the first
Mhm.
year, and it's especially true from IIM Ahmedabad as well, you will not have time to even sleep. You won't have time to talk to your loved ones. There's a lot going around, and you want to catch every bit of it. So, like it's as they say, you wake up at 6 or 5 after you slept at 6. So
Yes, that's the joke about IMA. Yeah. Gone to
yeah,
sleep 6 o'clock, wake me up at 6 o'clock.
yeah,
Or-
so that's very, very rigorous and it's very, very exciting to be a part of. But I just felt that I still wanted to explore and get to know more people of specific interests that I was into.
Mhm.
So currently, I am a part of two different consulting clubs at IMA. One is a live student consulting body, and second is the consulting club. But I'm also leading the literary symposium desk. It is for all the bibliophiles like me. So people who are into literature, reading, debating, quizzing. So all the people who are into literature, am leading that particular club.
Fantastic, fantastic. So can I just take a hint from there that is it that love for reading and the fact that you're a bibliophile who loves reading and literature that helped you crack the VARC bit of CAT, or did you have to do special preparations? Take us through your CAT prep, the written test.
So the CAT prep in itself was quite extensive for me. I joined a preparation institute about a year back from CAT 2018. That's when I gave CAT examination.
So when did you decide to do MBA? When you were doing your undergrad in the second year itself, or?
Yes. So after I had enough exposure around management, some of
Mm-hmm,
it was also driven by my peers. So
mm-hmm.
at least in my college, it was very competitive about how to go about things. So that sort of prompted me. Earlier, I wasn't very keen on it, but I just felt more at home doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I took up a preparation course for CAT, and therein, at least initially, it was havoc. I didn't know how to go about anything at all. So, talking of the three sections in particular, and I'm pretty sure the structures changed a little by now because of the 2 hour slots. But for my year, it was a 3 hour window, 1 hour each, and we
Yeah.
had three sections again.
No, the 2 hour thing was only a one-off because of the pandemic. I expect it will go back to 1 hour, as in uh, three sections, 1 hour each. Yeah.
Right. So, talking of each of the sections individually, after I had given like 10 or 15 mocks, I knew where my strengths lie. So
Hmm.
I was pretty good with VARC. It came naturally to me. I was scoring above 99.5 percentile without any of the usual efforts I put into it. DILR, I felt I was pretty comfortable with. If I just brushed up on it, I'll be able to crack it. So, but quant was something that I was literally running away from the entire time.
Why?
So, yeah, so as they say, right, you are comfortable with numbers, but you don't want to live your life around it. So while I was pretty good with numbers, there were others who were better than me at it.
Okay.
So that's what I did first. I first fought that temptation that, okay, I'm running away from numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took quant head on. I prepared a lot for it. But
Mm-hmm.
after that, I talked to a few people, again, my seniors from IIM Ahmedabad, and that's where my eyes opened. IIM Ahmedabad, CAT, or any other thing in life, whatever you do, it's not a place for you to brush up and compete with people who are already great at it. It's for you to hone your own strengths and make sure they're as impeccable, as shining coal as they can be, so that it cannot be missed. So I just made sure that I was doing pretty fine in quant. I would get a decent percentile there. But otherwise, I focused more on VARC, the unpredictability element in the differences in the level of paper that could be said, or perhaps specific questions which I felt I was not as good at. I brushed them up so much because that towards the end, I knew that come what may, I'll be scoring at least a 99.5 plus there. Then
What was your percentile in VARC, if I may ask?
yeah, so it was 99.86.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, so that worked out like a charm because as I mentioned, it's my strength, so I just brushed up on it. DILR, I was again very comfortable with, so I just did it up to a level wherein I was comfortable. Okay, a 99 here would suit fine. And quant, I just let go. Okay, if I even get a 95, I am still above 99 percentile, so it's good enough for me.
Okay.
So I fought my battle that way. Okay, VARC, I took a lot of time and I practiced a lot. DILR again was one of my focus areas, but quant, I just did the sections which I was horribly bad at. If I thought that, okay, I'm not able to do any of the logarithm questions, I simply tackled those in one whole sitting. And next time when any such question came, I made sure I attempted it, but I didn't set my hat on it. Okay, this is not something I'm going to do. I'm not going to waste my time here. I'm simply going to let it go.
Okay, okay. So basically, guys, you heard this, that if you are good at something, brush up on it, like Ayush did on VARC. He was good at it and he made sure that he got a 99 point plus. And DILR also. Now, quant is something he wasn't very happy with, but he at least made sure that, okay, with the effort that I put, I should at least get a 95 plus so that overall my percentile is high. So his strategy is a little different from what others have told us. Yes, guys, I'll let you question Ayush. Okay, you please post your questions and I will take those questions. We've got, once I go through some more questions that I need to ask him, you can still post your questions. Absolutely. He is there for you. He will directly answer your questions. I'm just the moderator here. All right. Okay. So that's where Cat went. Then how did your interviews go? How did you prepare? There are students who've got their interviews in another week, maybe, or 2 weeks, 10 days. So what should they be doing now? And how did you prepare? First, let me ask you, how did you prepare for it? The interviews and the VAT and PI.
So, when I prepared for my interview, I realized there were two elements to it. Either it could be all about me, or either it could be everything else. So I first brushed up on the things that I was most comfortable about, that is myself. I prepared all the usual questions that you hear around, tell me something about yourself. And I made sure I had specific hooks I was prepared with just to narrate my own story and take the interview in my direction.
Okay.
So, like you mentioned, you were reading my LinkedIn profile and specific words and phrases just tempted you to ask about it. I
Absolutely.
made sure all my applications that I'm filling, if they have a subjective component to it, or even the
Okay.
answer I'm giving, I'm always equipped with those hooks which I want the interviewer to ask me more about. So that was on the personal front.
Mhm.
And coming to the second front, that is everything else, there are again two components to it. First is specific to the institute, and second is more general knowledge and general awareness and business knowledge. So, specific to the institute, I believe there can be more things to it. For my personal case, I felt that WorkX was not something they'd ask me about, and internship experience is something I should be more concerned with.
Yeah,
So
because
I
you're a
made sure
fresher.
I was aware of what I had to do and how I'm drawing the link of what I did and how the objective was achieved.
Did they ask you enough questions on your internship?
So to be really fair, I attended all the IIM interviews and quite a bit of others as well. And apart from IIM Bangalore, no one asked me about
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay, I'm Bangalore did. But what
IIM
did
Bangalore.
Ahmedabad? What did Ahmedabad focus on?
So Ahmedabad, at least in my case, focused a lot more about my academics. I
Okay.
did know that my profile was specifically different from other individuals because I was a management graduate. So the expectations were also heightened. And in that particular case, I was talking to the stalwarts who were in that particular domain. It's not like I'm just talking to any particular individual and I can just tell them a story. I had to really brush up on the core things that I wanted them to talk about. So again, my hooks were directed in that sense. In one of the things when they ask me what your favorite subject is, I simply say it's business valuation. Now that's a very peculiar thing that I am sure nobody else would have gone through. So I started with that, and in IIM Ahmedabad, they did ask me about it. In IIM Calcutta, it went on a whole different direction. I told them business valuation. Then they told me to ask something, to tell them something else. So I said hesitantly, okay, investment and portfolio management. They didn't ask me about it. Then hesitantly, I went towards, okay, I am also comfortable with macroeconomics. That they didn't ask me. Microeconomics, they didn't ask me. And after in the fifth attempt, I just said statistics. And they were like, okay, that's where we settle. Just ask, just tell us what you know about statistics and normal distribution, things like those. So it can go in either of the directions, but have your own priorities ready. Where do you want to take the interview? In IIM
Okay.
Calcutta, it didn't work fine, but in IIM Ahmedabad, it worked like a charm. So
Okay.
while the interviewer was asking me questions itself, I was not only able to give them the theoretical knowledge, but I also post hooks like, okay, I did this research paper with this particular professor, and this was the insight. I did this academic project, and this is what came out of it. And this is what I'm applying to this particular situation as well. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
able to just merge both the elements, and I think that really gave a good impression.
Okay, so guys, the second thing, you have to direct the interview in the uh, manner you want it by giving answers specific to what you want to speak about. The interviewer may fall for it or not. In Ayush's case in Calcutta, they didn't, and in Ahmedabad, they did. Ayush, there's a question from Bhagwat who's asking if did you crack did you crack CAT in your first attempt or second attempt?
It was my first attempt.
It was his first attempt itself. All right, great. All right, so this is how it went. Brush up on your basics, brush up on your subjects, and when you answer, make sure you give answers that leave the interviewers asking more about the subject you know about, right? And sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not. All right, but overall, after the interview, when you came out of the hall, were you confident that ho jayega, I am A, B, whatever?
Quite honestly, I was most comfortable after IIM Calcutta.
Okay.
Somewhere I feel that I was comfortable with IMA. IIM Bangalore, I was pretty sure I haven't done a great job. So I forgot one of the crucial things about Bangalore, that is their state of the art entrepreneurship division and how they're so focused about it in the city. So when I told them business valuation, they asked me about startup valuation. Now that's a whole different ball game, and I did give them some concepts which could be applied there, but I wasn't very confident in it. So
Did you
that was the
get
case
it?
in my
Did
end.
you crack it or not?
Yeah. So at the end of it, I had calls from all three of them,
All right.
and it was a tough decision at first, but somewhere I knew that if I were to go into it, then I'd go to the best one, and it landed me here amongst the red bricks.
All right. Now, people say that there is no dilemma. If it's B, C, L, and all, there's a dilemma, but not for Ahmedabad. That's what I heard. All right. So you got all these calls. In some you were happy with the interviews, and some you weren't, but you cracked all of them. That's fantastic. So was it your preparation, you think, that got you through, or was it your manner of answering? Because you're very articulate. You're able to express yourself very well. Is that a reason, or what exactly? If there were two things that you would advise the students to do, and you have already said direct the interview in the manner you want it, the other one is of course preparation. Anything else?
So I think there's an element of both of them. Without preparation, you cannot, especially for an IM interview, cannot enter the interview room even. You
Yeah.
have to be prepared, as I mentioned, about yourself and everything else. And within everything else, you have to be prepared about the institute and your academics and some general knowledge, some business knowledge around it. But it can only take you so far. If you're really falling flat on your heels, then you have to like just think on the step as well. So I remember this specific instance from my IIM Ahmedabad interview. So they were asking me about a particular case, that whether I had gone through the placement reports or not. And I didn't really want the interview to go there. So I mentioned that I hadn't, and they asked me why not. And then they were about the ethics of placements and how things were to go about it. I simply took the stance, and that's very much on the spot. And I'm pretty sure I worded it differently, but I mentioned that I am not in the shoes of an interview panel or even an institute. I do not know their constraints. I do not know where they're coming from. So I simply abstain from making a judgment about it. I
You were
didn't.
honest. You were honest about it, in the sense that if you don't know something and you don't want to answer it, can you honestly state it?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that people think is that if they ask you some ethical question, whether it's a yes or a no, what would you do? Then you have to give a yes or a no. And people just give an answer and then they try to defend it. But there's always the third option, that you simply don't make a judgment about it. You as an individual acknowledge that you don't have enough knowledge about that particular thing,
It's
and
absolutely
you
fine.
circle back to it, you learn more about it, then you'd make an informed judgment than just giving in judgment on the spot.
All right, guys. So that is another piece. If you don't know something, do say that you don't know. Don't give a judgment on anything. All right. Ashish wants to know when to start preparing for interviews, along with your CAT preps or after taking the CAT exam. When did you start your preparation?
Honestly, after my CAT exam, I took it very, very lightly. I just parted around. I just like reconnected with friends and spent time with family. And after that, when I started getting the calls, I was more comfortable around the notion of preparation itself. And I
So when
think you
did you
had to
seriously start preparing for interviews?
I would say after I started getting the calls. But it was that even after I got the first call, I was full into prep mode. I didn't waste any time then.
Okay. So yeah, he said after CAT, very he was justified. He partied. He reconnected with friends. He chilled out a bit. But the moment he got calls, he started preparing. So I hope that answered your question, Ashish. Barkha wants to know, if we score well in written exams, is it possible still to not get admission because of PI? Barkha, I can answer that. Right? Your PI is different. We lost the connection, but we were asked about the importance of handwriting in WAT. First of all, how is your handwriting? Are you like the mythical doctor that people cannot read what you're writing, or you're better at it?
Um, I'd say that I fall into that category, but at least for my IIM interviews, I practice that, okay, these 100 words I can write, which are legible. So
Okay.
that was important, yes.
Okay. And IMA obviously has essay evaluation, AWT, instead of WAT, and all others have the usual essays, right? All
Yes.
right. So we've covered that your interviews went off well. It was confidence. It was preparation. He talks about, so guys, prepare well on everything about yourself, about the institute and other things. And when you don't know an answer, please frankly admit that you do not know the answer, or do not judge. You don't give an answer hastily and then defend it for life. That is not important. uh, what is the one thing you would tell, apart from preparation, students should do? How about current affairs, reading newspapers? Did anybody ask you anything related to anything about that?
Um, in ABC, I specifically remember them not asking me about it. In
Okay.
Lucknow and Shillong, I guess they did ask,
Okay.
and a couple more institutes, maybe MDI, they asked me about philosophy, and IIT Delhi, they asked me about academics. But in ABC particularly, I don't think they asked about it. But
Okay.
I leverage it to my favor because I had known about things, and I did connect my academics with the business knowledge that I was able to gain
Oh,
over
okay.
the preparation window. They
Okay.
just appreciated that better, that okay, I knew what I was talking about. I'm not just books, I'm also aware of what's going around
What's
in the world.
happening around? All right. Ayush, there was something in your profile that also fascinated me. I found it very remarkable. You said something about grassroots level social entrepreneurship efforts. What exactly is that? What did you do, or what are you still pursuing that? And
Sure, Savitri. So I was a part of this college organization, which is pretty famous in the north. It's called Inactis. Uh,
mm-hmm.
it's a social entrepreneurship wing in many of the colleges. So particularly in my year, I was closely associated with this one particular project called Rahat, in
Mm-hmm.
which we were working with the Delhi government in eradicating open defecation from the urban slums of Delhi.
Okay.
And none of the interviewers asked me about it, and it's a great story to tell. But
You can share the story with us, because it's fascinating, it's inspiring that a youngster is interested in this.
yeah, so personally, I feel there's a lot of things around us which we used to take for granted, right? We take
Mm-hmm.
this entire notion of privilege and we just throw it out the window. We just consider everything to be really meritocratic and everything to be on the same
Absolutely.
playing field, but it really isn't. And that I realized after I had joined in Actis and we were on our first site visit, as we call it. And you just go to the slums and you see the way people are living, the way they have developed their notions of thinking. And I'm not really commenting on what their notions of thinking are. I'm just considering that if I were in their position, would I uh, wonder
Absolutely.
if I could be better off than not.
Yeah.
And there we realized that even in the capital city of Delhi, there
Mhm.
were individuals who were defecating in the open. They didn't have toilets, they didn't have access to it. And while under the Swachh Bharat mission, the government had constructed toilets, they were not being utilized by the people themselves because there were many notions about it. There was
Yeah.
vandalism there, they were not operationalized properly. So we closely linked with the Delhi government and we took up the operations of those toilet complexes. And through that center of operation, we worked on three major things. First is operational maintenance of those toilets to make sure they're working fine. Second is aesthetic modifications so that the entire stigma associated to the word a toilet or
Yeah.
to latrine that
That's
removed
important.
from people's mind.
Yeah.
And third is around sensitization. So how do you leverage a community's beliefs towards your own personal outcome that you want? That is to increase the uptake of toilet. So you don't only tackle whoever's using the toilet, you tackle uh, children who are just forming their views about the world. So you tell them what's the importance of hygiene and how they can just
Do you
move
think you
on.
were successful? Do you think you were successful in it?
Yeah, it was incredibly successful. And at least in the initial year, we won a couple of international awards as well. And
Which brings me to another aspect. You said national and international competitions. So apart from awards, so that is going well. Are you still in that? Are you still involved with that project, the social entrepreneurship thing?
no, that project has been de-linked now.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
it's sustaining on its own through Delhi government.
Oh, fantastic. Okay,
The
so
benefit
you
of
were like an incubator. You gave it a push, and it's now working on its own. Fantastic, Ayush. So proud to hear you say that. Now coming to the national and international competitions, but before that, my students have a lot of questions for you. Uh, how do fresher or work experience impact? I think Barkha Ayush has already answered that. He's a fresher, so he feels that diversity and freshers have a chance as well. It's a myth to say that only people with experience get through. I think Ayush has already answered that question, but I will ask him to talk about it after this if you'd like to also give some more inputs, because I I assume Barkha is a fresher and she has a usual concerns about her chances of getting into IIM because she's a fresher. So just a word or two to her about that, and then we'll talk about your participation in national and international
Sure, Varka.
competitions. Yeah.
So I do believe that work experience gets specific weightage in some of the institute processes,
Hmm.
and people have something to talk about. They have something they have worked upon, and it's more related to the corporates, which I am preparing us for. So, in some sense, you can say that freshers are at a quote unquote disadvantage. But in my particular case, I took it to be slightly differently. Uh, so my thinking was that okay, this institute is giving them a head start of this 5 or 10%, but those 90% are all mine. Let me just try and get whatever I can, and then we can compete. And if I still make it through, then I would be happy about it because I did it despite that favorable push that was given to the work people.
Oh,
So I think the
fantastic,
mindset really
fantastic.
matters there.
So, Barkha, I think the answer is you can't control the fact that you don't have work experience, right? So, whatever is within your control, make the best of it, which Ayush did. Uh, okay. Bharat, who's done aeronautical engineering, wants to know how would you justify the shift from aeronautical engineering to MBA? Because for Ayush had it easy. Ayush had an undergrad in management, and so it was a logical extension to do an MBA. But are they really, is it more about the justification part, or it is more about the conviction that the student has कि MBA to karna hai?
I think there's this notion of conviction which is slightly misleading for students. They
Okay.
do need to link up their experience with what they want to do in the future, but it shouldn't be that you're pursuing MBA just because you want a higher salary. At least you cannot say it out that way. But very honestly, in my own batch, I have interacted with doctors, lawyers, CAs, even aerospace engineers, a couple of them. So I think management is a very big field and there's enough share of the pie for everyone. And as the way the industry is progressing, these professional services, what we call them, all these fields into which IIM graduates go into, they have their own lines of work. So it's not like aerospace is something that they're completely discounting. It's a very, very profitable field for them.
Absolutely.
So if you have any specific interest around it, simply go and say, okay, this is what I've learned, but I want to learn the business side of things. I want to make things work, and that's why I'm here. Or you can take the other way around and simply say, okay, I did this, I've explored this, and I just think that this is not for me. And that is why I am here, because I feel that this is for me because of XYZ reason, because I did this. So you have to base all your narratives in with solid data or quote unquote experience there, and make sure the other side also understands that okay, you're interested in this particular program for this XYZ reason, and not just applying
Genuine
because you
reason.
want to do an MBA.
Okay, I hope that answer, that was a fantastic answer, Bharat, and I hope you've heard that, right? So now, Ayush, we'll talk about your national and international competitions. We have 10 more minutes, 7 more minutes, so we can, let's talk about those competitions. When and where did you take part in it? And how do you find time? That's my main question. But first, let's talk about the competitions.
Sure. So I think the very first competition that I did was in my undergraduate. It started there, and within the week I entered the college. I did my first competition, and we literally knew nothing. We were just school graduates at that point in time, and still we won the first position. And somewhere I just realized it's incredibly easy, and it gives you money, it gives you fame, and it also teaches you something during the process. So from them, I have stuck with a lot of competitions. I have won quite a few of them in both my undergraduate, and when it came to my MBA college, I simply had a new platform because my internship was with strategy and in Dubai, albeit virtually due to the pandemic. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to engage with people on an international front, and since then I've applied to many global competition, heard really great views, feedback from the judges, and it's always a new learning experience. So I simply love participating and if I get the chance, winning at competitions. So that's what I've
Related
been
to
involved
both
with.
your subjects, mainly your subjects, is it?
I
Yeah.
beg your pardon.
These are competitions like intra-college competitions based on finance or building a model and things like that. Is that it? Or
So, at least in my undergraduate, they were more around a specific stream of things. They could be finance or
yeah,
strategy or
yeah.
marketing.
Okay.
But
Got
in
it.
MBA, they're multidisciplinary. So you can
Okay.
get as big a problem statement, and these not need not be intra-college. These are usually inter-college, and
Okay.
that's where the fun is when you're just interacting with, say, someone from Harvard, someone from Purdue, and
Absolutely.
someone from all these amazing colleges that you've just heard about, and you're brainstorming against what solution they've come up with for the company's problem. So it's
Okay.
a
You
really
actually look, your profile shows such excellence in academics and otherwise, but you look like a very laid back person. You don't look like the type who's so aggressively competitive. And, it's a very deceptive look that you have.
I
All
take that
right.
as a
Now
compliment,
let's just,
Savitri.
pardon? Yeah, go on, go on.
Yeah, I was just saying I'll take that as a compliment.
It is, it is. It's always good to keep smiling and make people wonder what you're up to. That's another thing. All right, let's now talk a little about IMA, huh? Does it live up to its reputation?
Okay.
We know that it's rigorous, it's hectic, and they choose the best students. So you are suddenly competing with, uh, you know, the Edisons and the Einsteins and all that, of course, is one side of it. Or is it, how is it? What is it exactly like? The heaven for all, paradise for all IIM aspirants. Break it down quickly into what a typical day is like after the pandemic.
Sure. So if I were in any aspirant shoes, I'd look at it two ways. First is the first year of IIMA, which is, as you described, you're constantly competing, you're constantly learning, you're applying your learnings, and you're just trying and thinking of tomorrow. But when you get to the second year, it's a lot less rigorous because you're just choosing your own subjects. So in IMA, you have a lot of electives that you can get your hands on, and you're just making your own portfolio of subjects that you want to study. So I think that just eases out the entire burden that you feel out of randomly studying accounting and then maths and then all these things that you keep hearing about MBA courses. So if I were to say that IIM Ahmedabad lives up to its expectations or not, it definitely does. And there are specific learnings that you get out of it, and it's really individualistic. But my learnings would be on two major fronts. First is the value of time.
Mm-hmm.
I now realize that my time is important commodity and it's something that is my own, but at the same time, it's something that corporations and companies are willing to give lakhs of rupees for. So I just not should spend it away. I should be doing something productive. I have to chill. Like I am still human, but I still need to optimize the way I spend my time. So that's my first learning. Second is the way you deal with people. So I am one of the youngest people here. So all the people here are at different age groups. They have had a work experience, they've had their entrepreneurship ventures. So you just get to interact with a diversity of people from different backgrounds, from different geographies, who have different tastes and who are teaching you about different things. So that aspect of dealing with people and at the still time competing and collaborating at the same time is something that IMA really stands for, and that diversity is that something I'm really proud of that I'm able to take away from this specific
I'm
place.
sure you are. What about Ahmedabad? Have you visited any of the milk bars of Ahmedabad?
The milk.
Ahmedabad is famous for its milk bars. यहाँ पे pubs और bars होता है Bangalore. I stay in Bangalore, and I know that Ahmedabad is famous for its milk bars.
Uh, I am not aware of that particular analogy, but
Find
I
out,
would say
find
that
out. What man? There are a lot of milk bars. Not analogy. They're really milk bars out there. Find out.
okay.
We don't
I'll
go out much. Ayush बस पढ़ते हैं. He only reads. Okay. All right. But Ahmedabad, how's the food?
coming from North India, I would say that it could be better. Uh, the Gujarati taste is something that's not as
Sugar in
simple
everything
as
you
I.
don't like. You don't like sugar in everything. You don't like sweet endings in everything.
Yeah, the first time you just come here and then there's dal, you expect it to be a like flavorful thing with a lot of spices, which just knocks you away, and then you're eating like things which have sugar in them. So it's
Yeah, I
really
talked to Devender last week from IIM Indore, and he said Indoris हर जगह हर dish पे सेव डालते हैं. Now Ayush says हर चीज में शक्कर डालते हैं. All right, we're getting there. Ayush, there's a question again from Bharat. Should I attempt to join a tier 2B school or should I attempt for the best? Come on. Okay, I'll let you answer that.
personally, I wouldn't have attended if it weren't for I am A, B, or C, because you can dispute and you can have your own logical reasoning around it as to why, you, according to your particular life agenda and where you're at, you want to go for a particular B school. But for me, I was still a fresher. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I still do, as a matter of fact. I'm one of the youngest people here, as I said. So for me, it was either A, B, or C. If not, then I would have preferred something in the West. And I think that's where you make a really personal choice as to where you're evaluating your own capabilities to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bharat, personal choice, but try for the best. Always attempt for the best because even the so-called tier 2B schools are just as expensive as any top-notch ones, and that's a brand that you get. So I personally feel you should aim for the best, and then if you have time on your side, you are a fresher, Just like Ayush, you have time on your side. Prepare and don't doubt your capabilities. Take CAT, be serious, take your interviews, be serious and prepare. Why wouldn't you get it? Your chance of getting into an IIM ABC are as good or better than anyone else. Keep that in mind. While
And if I
here we talking
add
to this
Savitri,
crowd, pardon, yeah, go on.
yeah, I was just saying, just to like give it a little bit more flavor to what you've said. Just aim for the moon, and even if you don't end up there, you'll end amongst the stars. So always
Aim
keep
for the
aiming for
moon, you
the moon.
at least climb Mount Everest. नहीं हो जाएगा. Bharat, just let me see you in those classes. I'll make sure that VARC में तो 99 plus मिलना चाहिए. LRDI and Quant are not in my hands. But yeah, have confidence in yourself, man. You will definitely make it and try for the best. Right? And I'd be seeing you here next year in the interviews, hopefully. All right. So here, any other questions, guys, quickly? All right. So here we have a very proud student of IIM Ahmedabad. He's proud to be in IIM Ahmedabad, and I'm sure IIM Ahmedabad is equally proud of you. I'm sure you'll make them very proud with all your achievements. On behalf of Gradeup, I wish you all the best, Ayush. It was a delightful experience talking to you. Stay cheerful, stay humble, and stay blessed like this always. Lead that literary club to the best of your abilities. It's such a joy to meet someone who says, I'm a reader. I love VARC. I was waiting for a day when a student would say that, because everyone would say I was terrified of VARC. And the background to that is he's a good reader. He loves reading, and he used a perfect word for it. I love his choice of words, but then that comes with reading. Right, Ayush? So last minute, you have some wise words for my students before we sign off.
Um, in terms of wise words, I'd reiterate in a particular sense what I've already shared. One should not doubt their own capabilities, and just leave out the uncontrollables. Whatever you have at hand, just make sure that you're trying your best at things that you are attempting. Just make sure that you're not investing your time in something that you're not very comfortable with, and just brush up on your own strengths. That's the name of the game. Be it CAT and be it IMA, even if you make it, just make sure that you make conscious choice of pursuing things. But after you've locked it down, just pursue it to the best of your abilities. Don't doubt them ever.
Well, wonderful words. Do your best, focus on your strengths, and once you decide and realize what are your strengths, focus on them and make the best use of it. Ayush, lovely having you here. If you ever come to Delhi, Noida, Gradeup is the place to be. We would love to host you there. If you ever come to Bangalore, I would love to meet up with you on any of your quests. Of course, I know you have other things on your agenda, but it would be lovely to meet you. All right, all the best. And we hope to hear a lot about you in the future.
Thank you, Savitri, and thank you for hosting me. Really looking forward to visiting Bangalore and meeting you as well.
Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to it too. Bye, Ayush. Guys, we're signing off then. This is Savitri Krishnamurthy signing off for Gradeup. I will see you very soon in a class. And Barkha says, thank you, Ayush Bhaiya, for your guidance. With that, let's say bye. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.